coming on the air from Florida with breaking news.
This is going to be jarring, shocking, and probably painful to see.
It is a devastating Category 4
And if you're trying to read your own policy, you almost have to be able to look up all the terms on Google. So are there people that can help a homeowner read their policy? Is that your agent, or who should help you with that?
Definitely your agent, and talk to them. So many people ask me, can you review our policies? I'm happy to go over things, but I don't know what's going on with your personal, policies. But your agent does and should help you find the best policies. Sometimes, listen, I see it all the time. People are trying to save a little bit of money, and I understand that. But the coverage difference in that amount of money that you're saving is never worth it.
One of the things I would touch base further on that is we're talking about before the storm is, like Harvey said, you should go to your agent and make sure that you're covered for the correct things. And one of the things I'd like to touch base for everybody for knowledge is, what are those things in your policy that you should have? I can tell you a couple instances I've seen in this past storm that I haven't seen before, where either you had a non-recoverable depreciation policy or recoverable. I have a client that he has a recoverable depreciation on his whole policy except for his roof. So again, insurance companies are doing stuff that they're not telling people about a lot of times, or you don't know. The wind-driven rain thing, I've seen a lot of that after Irma. A couple insurance companies were no longer covering wind-driven rain. I don't know if you know what that is, but wind-driven rain is hurricane rain, because that's considered wind-driven rain. So
That comes sideways, doesn't it?
correct. And our vents on our roofs are engineered for your rain to come down and vertically. It's not, going this way. So what the insurance companies did is said, okay, well, we don't want to pay for this wind-driven rain. Let's take wind-driven rain out of the policies. So I think one of the things that we should talk about real quick is, it would be helpful for you guys, is what are the things that should be in your policy? And I can name a couple, and if these gentlemen will, chime in with me. One is ALE, additional living expense. You should have the ALE money in case you get displaced from your property, so you have another place, so you can go and live somewhere else, and while your repairs are getting done, your insurance covers what's called ALE. Another thing that you want to make sure is you have a recoverable depreciation policy, because if you have a non-recoverable depreciation policy, then you don't get that money back, and they depreciate. And this gentleman I was just speaking about with his roof, they depreciated his roof 60%. So you want to make sure those things. Harvey, I know there's more that we could probably let them know when they go see their agent to request.
One of the biggest things that we see, and we get a lot of questions from the community, is that what does this mean, right to repair or preferred vendor programs? And that is like a great question for your agent. If you're signing up, and you need to say, does this policy give me the right to choose whoever I want to come in and work on my house, whoever I want to be inside my house with my family and so on? That you want to have that choice to decide who you prefer, not who the insurance company prefers. And some policies are written that you don't have a choice at all. Some insurance companies actually own their own restoration companies and roofing companies. And so you sign up with them, and then they send out their own people to do the roof. And trust me, they're not trying to take care of you and do the best job in the world. They're trying to do it for, as fast and as cheap as they can to save money. That's a big one, though, the right to repair and preferred vendor.
So I'd like to touch on that same subject. It's important to have a third party help you with this. And what do I mean by third party? That means a party that is not loyal to the insurance company. This right to repair business that's popped its ugly head up in the last few years has caused more consternation in this industry than just about anything. I went through Hurricane Michael. I live in Panama City, and I saw right to repair being exercised, and it was horrendous. The amount of work after that was done was almost more than it was before, because many of the jobs were not done, A, to code, B, to the protocol that was written, if there was a protocol, and C, some of them just simply weren't finished because they only get paid a certain amount. Remember, they're going to have a contract with the insurance company. It's like the silly 3-day drying myth. that's circulated its way around the world for years. And just if you don't know what that is, some people believe that any structure can be dried out in 3 days. I can tell you from 22 years of personal experience, that's completely bogus. I'm not saying it's not possible in some structures. I'm saying that all structures are not the same, therefore all drying strategies are not the same. But insurance companies often only want to pay for 3 days of drying. So they have their preferred vendor come in, set up drying, hopefully according to the S520 and the S500, which are the Bibles of this business. And when 3 days is done, they're done because there's no more money. That is an inadequate and improper way to dry a building, which leads to more damage in the end. And then if you do have more damage, guess what? Then they want to bring their preferred vendor back. So my suggestion in this is always have a third party, a company like ours or ours, come into your property and assess it in an unbiased way to say, here's how the water got in, or here's how the contamination got in, or here's whatever the case may be. Here's the remedy according to the Bibles of our business, if you will. And here's what any remediator or any contractor that's working on your property should do according to the standards. Once that happens, if it's written properly, because words matter, if it's written properly and it's performed properly, you'll have a good result, which is pre-storm condition, which is what we all want.